So it's 10 o'clock and on a Sunday, and we're gonna release this video tomorrow, and we should probably do our intro, huh?
Yeah.
I'm John.
I'm Amanda.
And welcome to Season 1 on Marooned by 5. If you missed the intro to Season 1, check it out here. And we'll eventually be releasing a prequel, so you learn a little more about our situation and a little bit about us. And when that's ready, you can check it out here. Let's get started. Alright, so I guess this is as good of a time as any to catch up with you guys on some of our backstory, our mindsets, and just kind of what we plan to do with this channel. So we'll call this Season 1, Episode 1, and this is our story. One of the reasons why we're doing this right now is because I happen to drive up to 1,500 miles in a week, and the time that I'm not driving, I'm either working or I'm refitting a boat. So bear with us. These first few videos will be rough, and with that said, we'll do our absolute best to clean them up for you and get higher quality content for you. We just want to show you the process. A lot of channels don't get to cover this because, like I said, it's expensive, it's stressful. You want to spend as much time as you can so that you're not stuck there wasting money, and well, yeah, it's hard. We've had this boat for a year now, and we paid $20,000 for it, which just flat cleared everything we had out. It was a lot more expensive than what we were planning for. Yeah, it came down to one of those, we're either going to do this or we're not. We also knew it was probably the only opportunity we'd have for a long time in this price range. We definitely thought we were being raked over the coals on the price, just because of the condition. Hopefully far ahead of any catamaran we could have bought at anywhere between $50,000 and $100,000. So that said, our budget for this project, we're trying to keep everything under $50,000 total. So like I said, we've been saving and preparing for a year to get back to this project, this dream of ours. And it's been a rough year. The boat's tried to sink on us 5 separate times, with different holes each time. But basically, the last owner did some really horrible repair jobs, and basically we have to go down and cut out every single patch that he's ever put on the boat. Every place he touched for work, we have to cut out and redo. We have a lot of work ahead of us. But yeah, so it's tried to sink on us several times. We learned a whole lot about patching in water, so we'll do a video on that, because we failed probably 3 times on our first patch ever. It took us 2 days and 6 hours each day probably to get figured out. And the last one we did took 5 minutes. So we got a lot better, learned a lot, and we'll pass that on. We're not quite ready yet to have it out of the water, and we'll get into that. Pulled it out of the water 2 to 3 weeks ago now. We're just now getting to really embrace the work. So far, I've only just cut some holes on the side, started to practice some different techniques on how to repair the hull, some ribs, some other things like that. I've just been tinkering with that. Amanda's challenge has been struggling to get the paint off. Because it's so old, because of the horrible work that's been done on it, we feel that we need to just strip all of the paint off. We can't just, sand it down and make a nice surface and paint over it. We have to remove all the way down to fiberglass, and it's just incredibly difficult to get off. So she'll explain some of those challenges, but really not a whole lot that you've missed. There's still plenty of work to be done for each of those areas, so you've actually caught us at the perfect time to really see pretty much everything that's going to happen to this boat. Hey babe. So we've talked a little bit about the backstory some. So how's this experience been for you so far?
It's been very up and down. The boat has, I think, sunk 3 times or so since we've had it over the past year. This last time it was pretty bad, so we kind of got forced into pulling it out of the water at that last time. It's a lot of trial and error, a lot of mistakes, and learning as you go, which can get frustrating. But it's also exciting. It's fun.
What did you say? What's your biggest concern right now?
My biggest concern is maybe never getting the sanding done to get the paint off the boat. No, it's the price of the money to keep the boat in the boatyard. Very expensive.
And why is it so hard for us to do work on the boat right now?
Because we're living an hour away and working. I'm in school full time doing a rotation. You're working full time. We don't have a lot of time, so we try to come after work and get a couple hours of work done and then drive back. A lot of back and forth, so we spend a lot of time driving. So don't have as much time as we need.
Yeah, we gotta try to fix that.
Yeah.
How are we gonna try to do better on that one?
Gonna try to stay out here more often, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks move out here onto the boat while it's in the boatyard. Try to move our stuff out here a little bit at a time over the next few weeks and come out here permanently.
Yeah. Did you say we were ready to have the boat out yet?
No. No.
We weren't quite planning on it, were we?
We had to though. It wouldn't have lasted. It would have gone lost to the sea. I've been working on the holes and sanding off the paint, trying to get that done. It's been very frustrating. Can't get it done. It's taking forever. Tried to do some research into doing a paint stripper. We tried that. I wanted it to work so bad and took it off this morning, and it doesn't seem like it did anything but maybe get through the first coat of paint that's on there, which isn't very helpful.
What else have you tried?
Well, I've tried just sanding it, which I think took me an entire week working on it for about 6 hours a day, and I got maybe a quarter of a hole done, which is not very practical.
So, you also found something about a pressure washer too, right?
Oh yeah, we tried to do sandblasting. So we used a pressure washer with sand and tried to sandblast it, which we went through about 180 pounds, I think, of sand in about 30 minutes.
Yeah? For people that don't know how much 180 pounds of sand is, how much volume? What do we have filled up?
A giant trash can. I don't know how many gallons of trash can.
It's pretty big. It's half full right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big industrial trash can. Half full of sand.
So what are your next steps? What are you doing right now?
Well, right now I took off all of the paint stripper this morning, which seemed to take off the very top layer of paint with it. And I went back through and tried to get the remainder of it off because it's really sticky. So I used the regular pressure washer and tried to get that off. I'm waiting for it to dry right now. And then I'm going to go back out and try to sand it. Hopefully it loosens it up a little bit at least. And we'll see how long that takes.
Is there a lot of layers of paint?
Yeah. There's 1, 2, there's 3, like 6, I would say, on top of the fiberglass.
Yeah. So you're sanding all the way down to the fiberglass?
Yeah.
You gotta see what all's under it, huh?
Yeah, we gotta see if there's any damage to the fiberglass underneath. If we have to reglass it.
Okay, so we just finished our final test for the citrus strip paint remover here. So we bumped it up to 24 hours at 50 milliliters per, no, sorry. Oh yeah, so this is 1 square foot. All right, so we used 100 milliliters, 1 square foot. So 4 times the concentration on these. And you can see we started going several layers deep, down to the fiberglass in some areas. This strip is starting to get through, and a couple textured areas where we're almost at fiberglass over here. And then the last test here, we slapped on as much as we possibly could. This is 200 milliliters per square foot, and that's really the most you can remotely get on there. It was dripping off like crazy. You can see the runs down here. But getting the paint off was almost effortless, down to fiberglass in a lot of areas, even in the white, getting through the primer, and pretty much the entire first layer of bottom paint, and sometimes even the layers underneath. So this is fiberglass and some primer and the other layer of bottom paint. So there you have it. That's citrus strip and how it worked for us. Roughly the concentration, so you can calculate how much you need. And yeah, we're not sure if we're gonna use it yet. Or we might try peel away as a comparison. And if we do that, we'll let you know what you find in there.
So in the area that I had scraped yesterday, that I just took a little bit off after doing the citrus strip, in that same area after spraying it with the Jasco, it's actually getting through both layers of the red paint and almost through all of it. We're getting down to the blue in some areas and all the way down to the white, which is the last layer before the fiberglass.
Are you excited?
Yes, so very excited.
And what time are we on still?
We're still on an hour, a little over an hour.
Alright, so we'll come back with some updates in a little bit.
Yep.
Tears of joy over here.
Literally.
So what's different about this side here?
So this side we didn't use the citrus strip on yesterday, so it hasn't been stripped at all. Don't look at this. That was a grinder fail, but it's still going down in some spots. I don't know if you can see, it's actually going down to the fiberglass.
Nice.
After just a little over an hour.
So we have a real breakthrough here. So now, Jasco, is it meant for this?
Not necessarily meant for boat paint, bottom paint now, but it works for it.
And it has a warning about fiberglass, doesn't it?
It does have a warning not to use it on fiberglass.
So obviously we're not professionals. This is just a documentation of our experiences in this. But so far, so good. So we'll come back with an update on that. What do you think?
I'm so happy.
You know, show us a little bit what it does?
Yeah.
So Jasco then, huh?
Jasco's the one.
Alright, we found it. Alright, so you did your first section?
Yeah.
How long did that take you?
To sand this after using the Jasco, it took about 10 minutes just to do all of that.
Alright, and I saw you put it on a little more. What about the other areas?
Yeah, so all these areas around here has only been the one application of it. It's much harder to get off still with the sander. This was the 2 coats, so I'm gonna go ahead and do 2 coats everywhere.
So is it just our top layer that's pretty bad?
Yeah, once it takes off the top layer after the first application, then the second one, it pretty much takes it down to the blue or white paint.
You actually almost see the color difference on the 2 coats of red.
Yeah, the darker red.
And then with that spot over there you did too?
Yep.
How long did that one take? This one right here?
It took about 5 minutes. Sand it down.
Not bad.
Yeah.
So now we have several coats of, or several cans of this paint remover here. And we even found a non-aerosol kind that we'll try as well. So we'll see how that works.
Alright, babe, what are you doing?
Scraping
What are you scraping?
the liquid form does not work as well as the sprayed aerosol form. For whatever reason, we applied it thin, it dried out, we applied it really thick, and it still didn't do anything. So for whatever reason, get the aerosol.
Okay, so I wanted to take a minute and show you some of the other projects we're working on right now. One of the big ones is the ribs. So there's several sections of the hole we've cut out, and we want to be able to start putting those back together again. And before we can do that, we have to make sure all the structure is nice and sound, that basically the ribs are good and can support the hole. So I'll show you a little bit about what I'm talking about, and then I'll show you some of our strategies that we're going to use to make those repairs. Basically, this really gut-wrenching feeling that we got while we were repairing one of the other leaks further up the side of this hole. So we just finished repairing that leak, and we were feeling really good, and we turned around and we saw what I'm about to show you. So keep an eye just a little further down than this when it plays. We were in the water when this was happening, so we were very on edge when we saw it. Alright, so I've scoped out from the inside what the scope is of this repair that I'm going to try to cut out. Sometime in the past, people have fiberglassed over this, both inside and out. So there's different areas of different strengths and integrity. So I determined from this kind of area here is at most risk to become soft, and it has the most damage. So that's where I'm cutting out right now. It takes quite a while because I have a handheld router, and it goes with this extension cord. It kind of cuts in and out, so it's just taking a little bit, but not too bad. Also some areas there, up there, this box here. Alright, so get some light here. Alright, so this is the area of the boat that I'm working on right now, and I just wanted to show you a few things about it. So as you can see, the wood does not look to be in great condition. You have a lot of areas that are very textured, stringy. Looks like it's falling apart. And if you look at it more closely, after you peel off some of these layers, you actually get to nice solid wood that's not soft at all. So I can scratch my nail at it, poke at it with a screwdriver. I've gouged at it, and it's solid. And the number of layers of wood that are coming off are really not that much. It's maybe the first and possibly second layer. So mostly just the veneer layer. So what I've decided is I'm going to peel back this section here. I'm going to peel back all the wood and strip it down to the hard part, and then I'll make a determination if it's good enough to keep. If it's good enough to keep, I will go over it with some sort of probably epoxy based filler of some sort, smooth it out, sand it out, and it'll look just like any other section of the hole where it's maybe smooth, more like this kind of texture. So it appears to be in great condition, and I've read online, done some research, and as long as the underneath layers are structural and sound, you continue using the wood. Just make sure that any kind of wood rot is contained. There's all kinds of wood rot killer and products you can apply to make sure that the wood underneath is not harmed. As far as going over top of it with some sort of filler, I did a small patch here just to kind of show and experiment with what happens if you apply it over this layer. And just kind of like I assumed, if you apply it over this loose area, you basically just peel off all the wood. It's pretty much dry, so this is, all your filler will just peel right off, and essentially all you're doing is trapping the rot and moisture underneath this layer anyway. So you want to make sure you strip it down like this, then go over top of it. So just thought I'd share that with you guys, show you what we're doing. If I determine this is not good enough to keep, basically we're just going to cut out this whole section here, and then another one there, another one there, another one over here, and it just goes. But this area is definitely the worst section on this boat, so that's as bad as it gets, and we're pretty happy with it. So alright, and I've actually come to the conclusion that I think a lot of this wood here is savable. So we're gonna put some treatment in it, and then we're gonna start building it back up and securing it. But you can see here just the level of repair done in the past that we just got to deal with. So this was set on there like that, and we just pried it off. I still can't quite see what it is it was covering because parts of the plywood came off, so I'm still yet to see what's under there, but I'll make that determination once I actually get there.
And that's it for this week, so we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Bye.